So my injury, which is T7, T9, I was having anxiety and PTSD and depression. I had spent 6 months battling a pressure wound, ballooned up to a certain weight that was not conducive for my body frame or for my health. The more that I used the Willie X and cardio that I did, I noticed that I started dropping weight and I started gaining more muscle, and my transfers, it was like, why did I wait so long to do this? A treadmill for wheelchairs. Again, I'm not killing my shoulder. It's amazing. I love it. Yeah, life is more exciting now because I'm doing more things that I was passionate about before. So my injury, which is T7, T9, happened midlife. Almost August will be 5 years. Prior to my injury, I would run marathons. I lifted weights. I, considered myself, fairly in shape for a lady of a certain age. After I got hurt, I was having anxiety and PTSD and depression. So I didn't really do a lot of working out. For the first almost 5 years of my injury, I had to rely on my husband for everything, it seemed like. It's like he was my security blanket. I couldn't do anything without him because I wasn't strong enough physically, and which made me not strong enough mentally. See, I was prone with pressure wounds really from the very beginning of my injury. So a lot of the time was spent in my wheelchair. So my transfers and really just my transfers, I was still using a slide board, which is not good because you can shear, and cause pressure wounds that way. I had spent 6 months battling a pressure wound, and that's 6 months in and out of the hospital. And I, ballooned up to a certain weight that was not conducive for my body frame or for my health. That's the best feeling out there is, being in a wheelchair, but being able to do things for yourself. And I want to be able to do that in my 60s and in my 70s. And in order to do that, you have to work out a little bit. I'm not saying that people have to go and spend, an hour in the gym, but do something for 30, 35 minutes, get your heart rate up, and you'll start seeing a difference in yourself and you'll start feeling different. So I guess that's my ultimate goal, is to just be able to take care of myself.
Yeah.
If I would continue down the road that I was going, I would not be able to be independent when I become, in my 60s or in my 70s. I would be codependent, and being a type A personality, being dependent is not something that I'm comfortable with. So I decided I needed to get myself in gear and get myself healthy. I started with light weights. I didn't do a lot of cardio at first. I wanted to get my arms stronger because, when you're in a wheelchair, our shoulders are basically our knees. And the last thing that I need to do is blow out a shoulder, because then, I can't, then I go back to being codependent versus independent. So I started with light weights and worked my way up to more reps. And then before you knew it, I was strong enough to where I started doing cardio, which would be racing up and down my driveway. And my driveway, I live in the South, and we have gravel, dirt driveways. So one, it's hard on your wheelchair, and these things aren't cheap, and insurance doesn't come up off of them real easy, you know? So it was tearing up my wheelchair, that, and the harder that I had to push, the more force that I had to put into it, the more it felt like it was straining my shoulders. It was hurting my shoulders more. Our shoulders are like our knees. You blow out a knee, you can't walk. I blow out a shoulder, I can't roll. I mean, yeah, I can do it with one hand, but it's not going to be efficient, you know? And then I go back to being dependent on, you know, people to do certain things. And yeah, that's not a good feeling. Mm-mm. Once I started getting back in shape, my niece and I got to talking, and she talked me into signing up for one of the races here in Austin. And earlier, like I said, when I go to do something, I typically jump in all the way. Well, instead of starting off with like a small race, like a 2 or 3 mile race, yeah, this is a 6.2 mile race. So, and I was like, I don't know what I just got myself into. And I only had 4 months. I didn't tell you this last time, but I only had 4 months to get ready for it. And I was not ready for it in the beginning, but I quickly got there. You know, a treadmill for wheelchairs, you know, if you've ever ran on a treadmill, you know, it's more low impact on your knees versus running outside. So I was like, there it is. There's my aha. There's my, I don't have to kill my shoulders in my wheelchair on the driveway all the time. I've got another piece of equipment here that I can use that'd be beneficial in more ways than one. So I quickly jumped on that. I wanted everything that I could with that. And it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, really. I guess not really in disguise, but with it being a lower impact on your shoulders, because again, you're, you know, backed up into it and you're locked in, and your wheels are just free flowing. So it's not like you have to exert a lot of pressure or a lot of energy, you know, to get your wheels to move, versus going up and down a doggone driveway where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm killing myself here. I'm killing my shoulders. So I would use the Wheelie X to do, well, I do the driveway, do, you know, a mile or so on it, but then I'd hit the Wheelie X and I'd do like 3 miles. So it was so much easier because, again, I'm not killing my shoulders. I'm killing myself as far as like, oh my gosh, this is hard. You know, it's an aerobic workout. You're going to get your workout. It's difficult in that sense, but the rewards are so much more greater. It's amazing. I love it. I use it quite frequently. The more that I use the Wheelie X and cardio that I did, I noticed that I started dropping weight and I started gaining more muscle. And my transfers, it was like, why did I wait so long to do this? It was, you know, the light bulb came on, and it was like, you know, I was, no pun intended on this, but, you know, I was kicking myself, you know, for not doing it sooner. And things by myself. I drive. So I do that more by myself. Because before, my husband was like, no, what if something happens when you're transferring and then you can't get yourself up? And, you know, there was just all these what ifs and what ifs. And now he sees me getting stronger. He sees the benefits from it. So I don't have those what ifs anymore. It's again, it's that independence to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. So life is more exciting now because I'm doing more things that I was passionate about before. Get a Wheelie X. It's low impact. You don't have to, like I said, get on there and kill yourself. you can get on there and, go for 30 minutes or 15, 5, whatever you can do. And you'll see as you progress, the changes that will come about. Again, not just physically, but mentally. So, I would definitely suggest.
Mm-mm-mm.
And it will also bridge the way to more cardio, more things, that you'll be able to do cardio wise. It wasn't just physically, but mentally when you're exercising and those endorphins are being released and you're just, giving it your all. When you get done, yeah, it sucks while you're doing it, but when you get done, you feel good. You just physically feel good. Mentally, you feel good. You're tired, but you're like, yeah, I did it. I crushed it. I killed it. So it's a twofold. More races. So there's this big series in Houston, Texas. There's 5 races, and at the end of each race, you get a medal. But at the end of the 5 races, you get this big, huge medal. And I want the big, huge medal. So I'm going to do these 5 little races and get my big, huge medal. And it's exciting now because I can do it. And I know I can do it. So life is more exciting now because I'm doing more things that I was passionate about before.